Well, I drug some parts home for my Minneapolis 445, and I know what you're thinking. You're saying to yourself, Turbo, what in the world? There ain't much left of that tractor. And you might be right. But we won't know that till we get her more tore apart. But this is a universal. The one I'm working on is the utility, so the transmission case, the steering column support or dash or whatever you want to call this piece is taller, and the live power shaft would be longer, because on the utility they made everything just a bit shorter so that you'd have a better turning radius and everything, along with the different front axle. It's got a swept back front axle, but I already verified that the transmission and the rear end are not in terrible shape. Everything's pretty dirty. I added a whole pile of oil in here to kind of pickle things in oil, and hopefully I raised it enough that some of it went into the TA compartment, or in the case of a Moline, it would be the amplitor compartment. TA would be international. But there's quite a few good parts here left. Most of the easy stuff is gone, but we might have a good lower end. I took the drain plug out and drained the water out of it, which was unfortunate. When the distributor got robbed, nobody plugged it off. But we'll pull the heads off, probably soak the pistons with some vinegar or something else, and see if they'll come loose. We'll have to see what things look like on the lower end. When the manifold got stripped off, somebody did care at that time, because they put some rags in the ports, so it wasn't completely pouring oil or pouring rainwater and snow and everything else into the engine from that way, at least. Starter's gone. I do have a water pump, but it looks like somebody was doing some JB fixing on that, so that's maybe not rebuildable, but again, we'll have to take a look at it. At least we got a fan. There's been a bunch of fixing done on the front axle. There's this framework under it. I'm wondering if somebody didn't have a loader on it, like a F10 farmhand or something, at one time. No hydraulic pump. The PTO does turn. I filled it all the way up till it started dribbling out the hole there. So it's got as much in there as possible. The transmission will turn over if you step the clutch down, so the clutch isn't even stuck. And it's got a good fuel tank. And it's got a rebuildable fender. It's got some pretty good rust on the bottom there, but you know, a good enough body man could probably make something out of that. But we'll see. It does have power steering on it, although I'm not planning on putting that on my utility. My utility is actually a factory power steering delete. One thing that is in better shape is this the shaft framing. The shaft going in to the power steering doesn't wobble nearly as much, so I might have to rob that. Well, I'll either rob that or I'll fix the one on mine, whichever, you know. If I have it machined out and put a bushing in there or what. There's a steering wheel and some brackets there. Somebody was in the transmission and cut out the reverse shift fork, so somebody must have needed that. But all in all, we'll have to see what's good, what's bad. You know, the radiator might be in, there might be enough left of the radiator to have it re-cored or something, if need be. And the front bolster isn't terrible at first glance anyways. Like I said, the front axle's had a fair bit of fixing done on it. Well, it's been broke off here once, and it's had a bunch of welding and add-on over here, and same thing on the other side. So she's not in real great shape, but it might be good enough a person could do something. You know, every day it seems like there are nicer tractors than this that get scrapped. So whenever you can find some parts, you got to grab them, no matter what the condition is, because they ain't making any more and they keep disappearing too much. So I'll put the cover on the rear end. Come on. There. I got that on there. The vent was missing, but I found something to jam in there good enough to keep the rain out. Now somebody broke the shifter, probably trying to get it to move, as it is. Oops, framing. It does move some. I sprayed a bunch of Zep in here trying to free it. Here we go. As she's coming around now. So get that knocked apart. Maybe we can salvage at least these parts here. The shaft here might be, I don't know, we'll see. But again, I'll get it apart and we'll have to see what's what with it. Got one tire with it. I would bet the hubs are probably the same as what's on my utility, but again, we'll figure that out. And at the same rate, if I don't need them, maybe somebody else can have them, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Like I said, we got to find out what all is good and bad. You know, the clutch can't be too terrible because it appears to work, and we'll have to see about the brakes. They seem to at least partially work. The park lever is missing. It's just a little rod that runs from the top down here. And yeah, all the park all of the park brake pieces are missing, but that's okay. There's the serial number if anybody's wondering. B1 always if you're looking at a somewhat stripped or stripped tractor, B1 always indicates a 445 universal. B1P would be a utility. B1W is an industrial. So, yeah. There's the engine number, just in case anybody was wondering. But yeah, so there's that much anyways. We'll go over and look at the 3-point in a second here. Here's the hydraulic unit, which is the big ticket item I was really after, because the one that was on my 445 is not in real great shape. This one was on the tractor when I initially inquired about it at the place where I got it, and I don't think it's been completely torn up or anything. I don't think it's been full of water or anything, because on this one I can move the hydraulic outlet levers back and forth. I couldn't do that on mine. So that's, in at least one way, we're already starting out on the right foot. The 3-point arms don't move, currently at least, but the O-ring for the 3-point might be stuck, possibly. We'll see, you know. And who knows, maybe the cylinder, the 3-point cylinder, is all full of rust, but we'll figure that out when we get that far. I got the oil filter sitting right there. I was hoping there'd maybe be a Moline filter in there that I could clean up and put on the shelf, but that didn't work out for me. But again, with the filter being off, at least any water that runs into the engine isn't going to stay there. And it did come with a gauge cluster, which is in at least marginally better shape than the one I got. This one could be rebuilt if a person could find the components. I'll show you the one on the tractor in a minute here, and you'll see why this one is at least better. But I also scored a dash off of a M602. Primarily I was after this because that'll be a better setup on my 445 than what was there, mainly because what was there was wore out. But it was easier and faster just to take the whole dash than to try and get that apart. I struggled with that for a while, and then I just said to heck with it. There was clouds and rain rolling in anyways. And I got some parts there too. That's a 3-point part right there. I pulled that off that M602. It'll probably go on my 445, but we'll see for sure. It is in better shape. Well, it's not in bad shape. This part, which normally is stuck, is actually loose, which is awesome. I got the other one for the other side. That one is stuck. I'll have to work on it. I found this laying in the transmission, so I don't know what exactly the deal is there, if somebody exchanged their broken one for a good one, or what exactly is going on there, but I pulled that out. Well, I'm going to soak it down with some Zep 45 or some Zep Dual Force, whichever one I have the most of at the time. We're going to soak a lot of this down and knock that apart and put it on the shelf, and you never know, might need it. I scored a seat bracket for an M5, which the seat on my 445 was kind of tore up. There was decent cushions on it, but none of it was really right. So I scored this, which will allow me to mount a seat on the 3-point, on further back on the 3-point, which will give me a little better leg room, because it seemed like I was sitting too far forward. I was rubbing the steering wheel, and some of that I think was because people have been fixing on the seat instead of because it was all tore up, and some of it too is guys were skinnier back then. But I'll bring you back in a second here, and we'll look at the good 445 a little bit. So this is the good 445. I got a bunch of it torn apart. Some things have been getting pushed in front of it, so I just haven't gotten as far on it as I would have liked by this amount of time, but every time we work on it, we'll make it a little better. But you can see why that other dash is better. This whole side here is kind of tore up, and then somebody mounted these gauges in here, so it's not really savable. I don't know, we'll see. The plan currently anyways is, regardless of which gauge cluster I use, we'll take this part of it out and put a flat plate in there and be able to mount some gauges nicely instead of this mess. So maybe you can see something there. But yeah, it needs a lot of work. This is part of the, I had to cut it apart to get it apart. Part of the original throttle system on here. It's actually not the factory original even, but it's supposed to be kind of a friction cone in there, and it gets stuck. Whoops, and down we go. But it got stuck and you couldn't adjust it, and I tried soaking it and heating it, and finally I just said to heck with it. So anyways, you can see I cleaned up the top cover on for this tractor. There's no oil in it currently, because I got the brakes all tore apart on this side here, and I put new seal in the bullpen, in the cover that goes on the inside there, that helps push the bearing into place and everything else. I found that the bearing, at least on this side, is spun, so I might have to take the rear end case off of that other 445 and put on this one, unless it's not too terrible to fix this one with a whether it needs to be bored out and put a sleeve in it, or if a repair, like a repair sleeve like what you'd use with a seal would be enough. I don't know, gotta look into it, figure it out. But those are the kind of things you run into with these old tractors. So you're gonna play with them, you gotta have parts or know somebody that has parts that's willing to sell to you. So, but anyways, with that being said, that's enough of this mess, and thank you for watching, and I hope you found it useful.